Ladies and gentlemen, I love the way that President Trump, and especially the way that William Barr communicate. They have no compunction with giving their true feelings, their true viewpoints, and it doesn't really matter how presidential it is, quote unquote. In President Trump's case, he'll just call out anyone he wants. Now, sometimes, very rarely, that's even too much for me. When it comes to my only advice, which he's president, so he's doing a lot of things right, my only advice would be to not retaliate when it's a female that maybe goes after him or says something derogatory. But that's what Trump does. Doesn't matter who you are. The left tries to paint it as, Democrats try to paint it as he's a demagogue and, oh my God, he's just using this all the negative impulses we have as human beings and as a society. It's like, no, the most vile cheaters on the planet. Democrats cheated their own candidate in Bernie Sanders, then turned him into one of their lackeys or one of their tools to foment the same belief that Russia hacked the DNC to inform the country that he was cheated. So in terms of xenophobia and demagoguery, you can't get, the Democratic Party is the definition of those words. But this is really interesting. So today, President Trump brought up Donna Brazile. And I explained in my segment prior to this one that Donna Brazile basically, shed light, even though she was part of the whole apparatus and machine. She shed a great deal of light into the Golden Muumuu's control, Madam Cyberhack Clinton, her control over the Democratic Party. They had agreements that these were DNC fundraising agreements, where the DNC would, alongside the Hillary Victory Fund, not only funnel money into Clinton's campaign from state parties, from the Democratic National Committee, which is against campaign finance laws, but Clinton's campaign would actually have the authority to decide who was hired, including the communications director, which is exactly the communications director of the Democratic National Committee. Has everything to do with the media and how the media shapes narratives during the election. Anyway, the point is, he brought that out. Now you have William Barr in a Associated Press article today. Mueller's Hill testimony will be a public spectacle. It's fantastic the way, they peel and they strip away all the public relations glitz from all of this. It's not even glitz, this fabricated allure. The Democratic Party needs, or it's going to backfire, but they want Mueller to testify. July 17th, he's going to testify. Now, William Barr, number one, calls it a public spectacle because he knows that the Mueller report has already stated categorically the evidence was not sufficient to charge. I will read you page 17, which is what Democrats, the only page that they didn't read. Second, while the investigation identified numerous links between individuals with ties to the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign, the evidence was not sufficient to support criminal charges. Among other things, the evidence was not sufficient to charge any campaign official as an unregistered agent of the Russian government or other Russian principal, and our evidence about the June 9, 2016 meeting and DNC release of hacked material was not sufficient to charge a criminal campaign finance violation. Further, the evidence was not sufficient to charge that any member of the Trump campaign conspired with representatives of the Russian government to interfere in the 2016 election. Not sufficient, not sufficient, not sufficient, not sufficient. 4 times in a paragraph that makes the entire 400 pages of nonsense completely obsolete and irrelevant. I don't care about the other 400 pages. If nothing that took place was evidence to charge for interfering in the election, you've wasted 2 years of U.S. history. Sorry, you've wasted 2 years of U.S. history. But here, Mueller's Hill testimony will be public spectacle. And guess what? William Barr will defend Robert Mueller if Robert Mueller decides to either delay or postpone or cancel his testimony, which is hilarious. He states that here. Attorney General William Barr on Monday accused Democrats of trying to create a public spectacle with the Mueller test by compelling Special Counsel Robert Mueller to testify before Congress about the Russian investigation. In an interview with the Associated Press, Barr said the Justice Department would support Mueller if he decides he doesn't want to be subject himself to congressional testimony. He's telling Mueller, hey, you don't have to go if you don't want to. I got your back. It doesn't have to be Mueller time. Barr also said the Justice Department would seek to block any attempt by Congress to subpoena members of the special counsel's team. So, this is going to go to the Supreme Court. And if it does go to the Supreme Court, guess who the Supreme Court's going to side with? It won't be Democrats who have already been struck down by their own report. The propaganda did not work. 2 years. Oh, the walls are caving in. The walls are caving in. Everything is linked to Clinton, who is running again. Okay, she's running again. Just get that in your minds. She will run again. She has until November, and even beyond November. But it'll happen before November. Almost certainly before November, but she'll definitely be running. And when she runs, because she essentially controls the Democratic Party along with Bill, who has a lot more ties to you-know-who than anyone else does. I love how Democrats, like the media is so clueless, I don't even want to get a part of it. There's stuff coming out all the time, every day. And I'm just going to lay low and focus on, issues that, aren't controversial. And we're going to have a good time for the next year and a half playing the long game, being totally cool with the algorithm, and just the public record alone with what's going on with William Barr and John Durham is enough. It's enough to talk about. In addition to high approval ratings, in addition to a great economy and everything else, in addition to Clinton running again, that will be fantastic for my voice, this channel, and for the country. It'll vindicate everything that I've been saying from day one, even when I was on the left. But it'll also, well, I'll get to that. You know my thought process. In an interview with the Associated Press, Barr said the Justice Department would support Mueller if he decides he doesn't want to subject himself to congressional testimony. Barr also said the Justice Department would seek to block any attempt by Congress to subpoena members of the special counsel's team. So they just want people, they want to ask really, they want to repeat themselves endlessly, ask the same questions, which will lead to the same determination. The conclusion was he couldn't charge President Trump on anything because guess what? Every piece of quote-unquote evidence was fabricated. Every piece of quote-unquote evidence had it wasn't evidence. They tried to redefine the word evidence. It's not evidence. Looking at a Steele dossier that has no bearing to reality, looking at a Steele dossier, Alexander Downer's gossip, ODNI and DHS report with warranty disclaimers. Warranty disclaimers, ladies and gentlemen. Warranty disclaimers. So, if you look at John Durham needs to investigate why the info generating the Mueller probe is all linked to Hillary Clinton. This is my latest article in The Federalist. It was shared by Rush Limbaugh 2 days in a row on his show. Great honor for me. DHS does not provide any warranties of any kind regarding any information contained within. And the ODNI reports are judgments are not intended to imply that we have proof that shows something to be a fact. Judgments then they say the judgments could be wrong. So it says right there, judgments might be wrong. Such judgments might be wrong. High confidence in a judgment does not imply that the assessment is a fact or certainty. Such judgments might be wrong. Annex B, page 23, no, it says page 13 here. But on the PDF, it's page 23. So, that's of the Office of Director of National Intelligence report. So the ODNI and DHS reports come with warranty disclaimers. This is regarding, by the way, the accusation or the allegation that the Russians hacked the DNC. There's no evidence of that. The only evidence came through CrowdStrike, and we know from the Stone court hearings that CrowdStrike didn't even give its entire unredacted analysis and reports to the U.S. government. I mean, it is so absurd. This is the most absurd time in U.S. history, where one political party has merged with media to kind of dumb down society to a point where their election loss is so traumatizing, they'll completely do away with logic. Everything is this like poorly written, horrible fantasy, like spy novel, Cloak and Dagger spy novel. It was a back channel. How many times have you heard dossier? It was a dossier? Oh my God. And a Comey memo? Oh my God. And a ledger from Manafort, and that too was compiled by sources in the Ukraine. The Steele dossier was compiled by Russian sources. An active Russian intelligence officer was one of the sources. So they not only engaged in exactly what they claim Trump engaged in, but they then tried to frame and fabricate Trump using evidence that they purchased or linked to them. It didn't work out. Now they want to hear more salacious or, what they consider to be incriminating stories written in the Steele dossier, which, by the way, has very little evidence. Okay, all of those quotes attributed to Trump, this is the end of my presidency, and all that stuff, we have he demanded loyalty. How do we know this? These are quotes attributed without any backing, no tape recording, no nothing. Well, they were told under oath. So what? So what? Michael Cohen was under oath, and he lied his behind off because he was caught. And it's interesting, like when he's on Trump's side, he's a liar, but suddenly when he's caught doing things he shouldn't have done, then he's telling the truth. Michael Cohen's testimony and James Comey's testimony is worth nothing, is worthless. And then the same could be said with Brennan and Clapper. It's completely worthless testimony. Doesn't matter if it's under oath. They're lying. Just like James Clapper and James Comey lied under oath. But you have also here William Barr. I'm not sure what purpose is served by dragging him up there and trying to grill him. I don't think Mueller should be treated that way or subject himself to that if he doesn't want to. So the hilarious thing is that it would be absolutely wonderful if Mueller postpones or cancels his testimony. It'll be hilarious because Mueller is walking into a trap. And he has to know that the Republicans are just salivating. They're chomping at the bit. They can't wait. Republicans cannot wait. Lindsey Graham's going to have some great questions for him. Okay? Other people are going to have in the Republican Party. Jim Jordan's going to have amazing questions for him. So, it's like, what is he... There's no benefit to Mueller. Because Mueller's just going to repeat the same thing that he came up with. After 2 years of investigation, he came up with the following. There's no evidence to indict anyone on any of the allegations made by Democrats and media for 2 years. The obstruction issue is he didn't even indict on obstruction. He could have. He fell back on we can't indict a sitting president, but that's not part of what Rosenstein originally wrote. When Rosenstein started the special counsel, there was no stipulation that he couldn't. It doesn't say within the guidelines of the special counsel they couldn't indict. If anything, the guidelines were so broad and overreaching that they went after Michael Cohen on issues pertaining to state crimes, and they went after Manafort on issues that had to do with crimes that took place 10 years prior that generally don't get the same prison sentence that he's getting now. So, I mean, Hill's testimony will be a public spectacle. Barr is letting Mueller know, hey, you're going to be railroaded. Democrats are like a boa constrictor. A pet boa constrictor that if you don't feed, just, slithers out of the little display case and crushes you and then eats you. That's the way the Democratic Party is. They'll look at Mueller and they'll say, "Oh my God, he's so great for 2 years. Oh, he's such a man of integrity." Then you'll have people like, "Oh, why did we trust Mueller? We put too much faith in Mueller." It's like, no, you created your own reality. Democrats and media say this about Trump. They say that Trump creates their own the Trump voters create their own reality. That's not true. That's not true. There's enough in the public record. That's why, people say, oh, H.A. Goodman talks about conspiratorial things. Like, no, it's pretty much, I read New York Times sources. That's why, I'm in constant good standing with YouTube, and, I'm published in the Federalist, and I'm published in a whole bunch of places. Because I work with public record. The public record is enough to do the Democratic Party in. The public record is enough. You don't have to look far. Now we're finding out all this information that the algorithm doesn't, but there are other channels that'll talk about it. The Clintons have their tentacles everywhere. It's not, and that's, Donna Brazile wrote about that in Politico. You can read Donna Brazile's actual writing. Here, let's do it right now. So William Barr is like, yeah, you don't have to testify. I'll back you up. If you don't want to, because it's a subpoena, and guess who has to enforce it? The Justice Department. If it was Sessions, it'd be like, don't worry, I'll help you, Democrats. I love you. Nobody loves you like me. I was going into some kind of song. Hold on. Okay, here. How many times if you've watched this channel for a while, I've read this a whole bunch of times. Inside Hillary Clinton's secret takeover of the DNC. When I was asked to run the Democratic Party after the Russians hacked her, I stumbled upon a shocking truth about the Clinton campaign. Okay, so the agreement. When I got back from a vacation in Martha's Vineyard, I at last found the document that described it all, the joint fundraising agreement between the DNC, the Hillary Victory Fund, and Hillary for America. I just love, for example, would love to debate David Pakman on my channel anytime he'd like. I was on his channel. If he would ever like to debate all of this, I would love to debate him. I would ask, well, what are your thoughts on the joint fundraising agreement that Donna Brazile called unethical? The agreement signed by Amy Dacey, the former CEO of the DNC, and Robbie Mook with a copy to Mark Elias, the same law firm that purchased the Steele dossier, I would ask him about that too, specified that in exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party's finances, strategy, and all the money raised. Now, if I had stated this, people would say, oh my God, H.A. Goodman is talking about, but it's right here. So, pundits and people who say, oh, well, Bernie Sanders wasn't cheated. There was no, in addition to the emails that actually caused Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign, which I would bring up in a debate with David Pakman or Sam Cedar or anybody. If they wanted to debate me, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com on my channel anytime. Would love to. The campaign had the right of refusal of who would be the party communications director, and it would make final decisions on all the other staff. The DNC was also required to consult with the campaign about all other staffing, budgeting, data, analytics, and mailings. The public record shows that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Then you have a completely fabricated intelligence community hoax that said the Russians informed the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated by infiltrating the DNC emails to show that Debbie Wasserman Schultz really did not only tip the scales, completely rigged the primaries, and forcing her to resign in disgrace. you didn't even have to see the DNC emails. All you had to see is this agreement that Donna Brazile actually writes about in Politico, a left-leaning publication. There's actually good Politico. I'll say this: the Wall Street Journal is the best publication out there, one of the best. I mean, the Federalist, Daily Caller, the Federalist. I love the Federalist. I'm published there, but I love the Federalist. But in terms of like a major publication, like newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, by far better than the New York Times, obviously, and the Washington Post. Both the Times and the Post are like extensions of the DNC. I would say Politico is still, even though it leans left, there's still integrity there. I'll give that to Politico. So Politico does good work. Okay? And here you go. They just published. It's right there. What does that have to do with William Barr and Mueller? The whole Mueller debacle, the whole Mueller nonsense, the special counsel, the ODNI and DHS reports that, I mean, look, no pundit could debate me because I would read them the warranty disclaimers within the intelligence reports that state such judgments could be wrong and they're only judgments, they're not certainty. I would read them information about the agreement, the joint fundraising agreement between the DNC and the Hillary Victory Fund and Hillary for America, which is, by the way, illegal. Okay, and I explained this in one of my Daily Caller articles. That's illegal. It's not a campaign finance violation. If Bernie did this or if Trump did this, they would be, oh my God, you can't do that. So all of this, there's a machine. It's a political machine. You have the intelligence community, you have the Democratic Party, you have the media, and they're all basically one entity. They're an extension of Bill Clinton. You like my extension? I got to tell you something. I have the biggest extension of anybody in D.C. That's what I'm talking about. You can ask anyone. Just don't ask you know who. I should have chartered a plane myself. I should have flown Delta or Southwest. My God, what did I do? It's getting hot in here. The DNC was also required to consult with the campaign on all other staffing, budgeting, data, analytics, and mailing. How is this not completely and utterly rigged for one candidate when an actual political party it has a joint fundraising agreement and allows the candidate to hire the most important officials within the political party? Donna Brazile, I'll give Donna Brazile this. Of all the people in the Democratic Party with inside knowledge on the corruption and just the illegal activity, Donna Brazile was the most honest of all of them. Debbie Wasserman Schultz certainly wasn't, and she's still in Congress. So, it's like you have a situation here, ladies and gentlemen, where there are a great many things going on. And the narrative is changing. There are people who say, oh, nothing will ever happen. No, nothing will ever happen. Oh, my God, nothing will ever happen. The notion that Democrats who commit crimes will actually see justice is mocked by the same liberals who claim that Trump colluded with Russia still. That's not sustainable. Look, paradigms of thought, political machines. I mean, you could go through history, empires. You cannot continually wield power in a corrupt manner and expect to, stay in power. You can't do that. It's never happened in history. There's never been a time where you've had just continue. Look at Roman history, the Roman emperors. I mean, you can look at when you engage in too much corruption, eventually it catches up to you. And just because you haven't seen it, yet, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Furthermore, especially when Clinton runs, and she will, and when she runs, and we know that this article from Donna Brazile, it's not that she's just going to run. She controls the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is controlled by two people. When she runs, she's going to win because it's still rigged completely in one person's favor. This charade of like 30 people who are just have no chance of winning, starting with Biden and ending with Kristen Gillibrand or Swalwell, who just left today. This is to prop up the notion that the Democratic Party exists. Okay, Clinton can't just come in again. It's going to be too much for the average Democrat. Slowly but surely, people are realizing, oh my God, we're going to lose to Trump again. Oh my God, who do we have? Who do we have they got 65 million votes? Or 63 million votes. Who do we have? Who do we have? Oh yes, it's Hillary. Come back. You're already seeing that. When the New York Times is writing hit pieces on cadaver, the Botox cadaver, okay, Biden, then you know something's up. When the New York Times is writing hit pieces, you know something's up. All right? Okay, this is not like, this is not, everything's in the open and it's public record. You know that Donna Brazile wrote there was an actual fundraising agreement that's completely unethical. She even said it was. And it's also illegal. But that's another story. You know that the ODNI and DHS reports come with warranty disclaimers that I talk about all the time. You know that Clinton purchased the Steele dossier, outsourced CrowdStrike with the DNC, and Alexander Downer's linked to the Clinton Foundation. You know that Peter Strzok said in his text messages, we will stop Trump. If the tables were turned, they would never allow any of this to take place. But because they have what they consider endless political authority or moral authority and political influence, they think they can get away with it. What Democrats don't understand is two things. One, when Clinton loses again, she'll take the whole thing down with her. Two, media and the intelligence community slither towards whatever is going to give them the most influence and wealth and money. You're going to see a lot more favorable coverage of Trump in his second term. A lot more. And that won't be by accident. And you're going to see a lot more, you'll see indictments for sure, but you will see a lot more intelligence officials praising President Trump and all of that. Because if you can't beat him, join him. And that's what that's what the intelligence community and media that's what they're going to do. Democrats are going to just completely descend into this dumpster fire scene from outer space. And all of the shrieking and the hysteria that you hear on Twitter, they'll probably take Twitter down with them. The loudest voices that are so annoying that you hear, they won't have the same influence that they do. They just won't have the same influence. You're talking about a paradigm, you're talking about a sea change in American politics and in American history. Democrats think that the future is going to be more liberal. Republicans don't care about the social issues they used to care about. Conservatives are not the conservatives of even the Bush era. They're completely different. They're far more libertarian. And it's the Democrats who try to foment this paranoia, this Red Scare, McCarthy era nonsense. It's the Democrats who go back in time and try to utilize whatever they can to look tough in terms of foreign policy, which they're horrendous at. You've President Trump, who first president to step foot into North Korea. Major accomplishment. But it's these loud, shrieking, hysterical voices that are getting so much attention on Twitter. They're not going to have the same influence when Trump wins again. And especially when Clinton loses again, because she's running again, and she's going. Let's just say she'll be nominee. Clinton will be the Democratic Party nominee. So you know what? I won't even say that she's. I'll try not to even say she's running again. Clinton will be the Democratic Party nominee. That's it. So, how long she runs, whether it's she just right after the third debate in October, she says I'm running again. Fine. That means she will become the nominee. When she becomes the nominee. And that last that last Democratic Party attempt at taking over the White House fails, the entire mindset of condemnation and judgment, while resting upon a morally bereft soapbox, that entire irrational, absurd foundation of shrieking and yelling and hysteria from the left will be completely obliterated. So it's actually a really good thing when Clinton becomes nominee and loses again to Trump. It'll be a great thing. Okay. Give me your thoughts below. William Barr is basically William Barr is telling Mueller, hey, you don't have to. Look, he's telling Mueller, you don't have to go. You don't have to go, Mueller. Don't do it. Don't do it. He's saying that. And he's actually not only calling it a public spectacle, kind of mocking it and like denigrating it, which he should, but he's saying, look, if you change your mind, just let me know. I'll hook you up. Believe me, it's not a problem at all. If you change your mind, Mueller time, just let me know. You just let me know and it's all good. Not a problem at all. Give me your thoughts below. If you want to support my voice long term, ladies and gentlemen, my Patreon link is below. Your support is greatly appreciated. And check out my latest article in the Federalist. Please share that article and the one prior everywhere. Just click on my author page also in the Federalist, and you can see all the articles I've written. Thank you so very much. And definitely share my Jerusalem Post article on AOC. Thank you.